back to Hank's True Barbecue. Today we're gonna do a Boston butt or a pork butt on my offset smoker Rude Boy. For those of you that haven't seen it, it's fully insulated fire chamber, fully insulated food chamber, fat smokestack, built by an engineer for an engineer, that's me. So I really like this one, it performs like a champ. Got the pork butt here, got a nice big 5 to 6 pound pork butt. I like the size because you get really juicy end results. It's still plenty of bark. If you have even bigger one, you may want to cut it in half, because if you cut it in half, you're going to get more surface area. More surface area means more bark, and more bark means more flavor. But I think this is just the right size, so let's get started prepping. Gonna have to excuse my outfit, by the way. I just chopped up a whole bunch of oak wood for today's smoke session. But it's a nice day, sun is out, so let's get started prepping this one. I'm gonna put on some Dijon mustard, a nice pork rub, and then we're gonna get the fire started. First thing I do is put some Dijon mustard on. I usually don't, but I think it's gonna be acting as a good glue for the rub to stick, and also add a little bit of flavor, because I really like mustard with pork. So I'm gonna put on a thin layer, just like this. And then we're gonna apply the rub and get started smoking. That's good. Flip it over. It's real nice being able to be outside today. Nice weather. Prepping food outside is always good. And I recently fabricated this table here, which is super convenient. I haven't had one before. Make sure you get the mustard on all sides, and time to apply the rub. I'm gonna get an even layer as possible. A little windy today, as you can see, but still good. All right. The nice thing about prepping a pork butt is it's so easy. You usually don't have to do any trimming or anything. I basically just unwrapped this one, patted it dry with a paper towel, and now we're applying the mustard and the rub. Make sure you get it on all sides, just like the mustard. Just a little bit more, get it all even. And the end points. And we're good. Nice one, quick and easy. Here you can see the pile of wood I made. I'm probably gonna have to chop up some more. Made some really thin kindling that I can get the fire started with. So let's get started building a little pit in here. Now this smoker comes up to temp pretty quickly due to the fact that it's insulated, so 15 to 20 minutes and we should be up and running. I'm gonna run this at 130 degrees, which is 270, 275 Fahrenheit. So it'll be good. I think I'm gonna have to wrap right after the stall. I'm gonna have a look at the bark. I'll show you when to wrap, but we'll get there in a couple of hours. While the fire is getting started, I'm gonna add water to the wash pan. Gonna add some steam, a little more moisture to the air, which is rather dry because I'm using oak wood, which is just loaded with energy, so creates quite a bit of heat even from just 4 or 5 splits. I'm gonna add a little more, so it should last 4 or 5 hours. I usually have to refill this one at least once. Right, so this is a pitmaster's chair. This is where I'm gonna be spending most of the day, tending the fire, which is truly a pitmaster's job. I try to keep the temp like plus minus 5 degrees from target temp in the grill. So you can't leave it for too long, but I think that's part of the enjoyments of smoking, actually sitting here tending to fire, making sure it's as even as possible for a long time as possible so you get the best results. So getting it up to temp took 15 minutes, so let's get the pork in there. And the thermometer right in the middle. Time to close the lid and start to smoking. And here's the chimney. When you say clean burn, that's the way it should look like. So while the pork is smoking, I might as well talk a little bit about why I prefer the offset smoker so much. To me, this is true barbecue. You have the oak wood burning, nice clean burning fire. As you could see, I don't have any vents on. I run with the lid of the firebox door wide open. I adjust temp by putting in more splits or less splits, and that way I get the cleanest burning fire, as you could see on the chimney before, or the smokestack. So to me, this is all about flavor. I mean, you get such fantastic flavor from the smoke from oak wood. And also I like the draft going through I mean, there's quite a bit of wind. If you stick your hand in, it feels like when you're blowing on your arm when you're in a sauna, for example. So it's quite a bit of airflow going through, which creates really nice bark. You want just the right level of airflow in through. If the smokestack's too large, you're gonna have too much draft and it's gonna dry out the meat on the surface. If it's too low, you don't get that clean burning fire, so there's a fine balance. Luckily, this one's constructed by I'm calculating natural draft pressure to get this just right, so this has been fine-tuned. I really like it. I've actually checked the measurements so to make sure theory matches practice with an anemometer, and I've cooked plenty of meat in this one. I can typically feed 400 people with this in one go, so that's nice. I'm going to do that again at a big event in September. Looking forward to that, doing brisket and pork belly, one of my two favorites. So it's all humming along nicely. I'm just putting a few splits in fire every now and then, and we'll keep going. We'll come back in an hour or two, check on the meat so you can see how the bark progresses. So stick around, folks. Alright, we're almost 2 hours in. I'm gonna start spritzing now. I do that for two reasons. When I add moisture to the surface of the meat, it means it's gonna attract more smoke, since I add moisture and also cool the surface just a bit. The second thing I do is, this contains sugar, just a bit of sugar. It's black currant juice, highly concentrated, and when I do that I'm gonna add a thin layer of sugar on the surface, which is gonna caramelize slowly. Now normally I don't spritz in a Kamado, for example, and I don't spritz in a kettle, but the air is quite dry in here, so I think it pays off well. So now I'm gonna spritz every 30-40 minutes for 2 hours, and we'll see how the bark develops. Alright, so we've now hit 70 degrees Celsius, which is 158, 160 degrees Fahrenheit, which means we're just entering the stall. So now the temp curve is going to flatten out. I thought I'd show you the bark as it is now. It's good, it's looking good, but it's not enough, so I'm going to wait even further, typically till the end of the stall before I wrap, but we'll check it continuously. So let me show you the meat. Alright, here it is, looking better, still improving. Nice touch, nice hard surface developing, the crust, but it's still not the right color, so we'll let it rip for another hour before checking again. Alright, so we're in the middle of the stall now. I don't spritz at all. I stopped spritzing when we entered the stall, basically because the only focus now is building bark. I want to get really good bark. We're at 82, 83 degrees Celsius, which is nice. Still some ways to go. I'll show you the bark how it looks now, but again, now I'm building bark before we wrap, and then we take it to the finish line, which is either 95 degrees Celsius or 2 or 3 Fahrenheit, or when it's probe tender. I'll wiggle the probe to check. So that's the two conditions. But first let me show you the meat here. Now you can see the bark is starting to set. Still not done yet, but now we're getting good success, I would say. So turning darker and darker every half hour. Meat's done. Well, not done, but the bark is good enough, so we're gonna wrap it. 2 layers of aluminum foil. Wrap it nice and tight. And we're gonna brace it all the way to the finish line. Get the probe back in and into the grill. Now when it's done, I'm gonna place it in this faux cambro to make sure it cools off properly, or rests actually. It's gonna need a full hour at least. 2 hours is just fine too. What we need to happen is basically for the fats that are almost liquid to solidify, or at least turn into gel back again, and just let the juices redistribute evenly. So this is a crucial element of smoking a pork butt. So when it's done, I'm going to put it in the box, let it rest for at least 1 hour, and then we'll pull it and you get to see the end result. Alright, so it's time to pull the pork. Looking really good. Nice bark. See, I can just pull it with forks like this, which is exactly like it should be. Nice and super tender. Really good flavor. Nice sweetness from the bark, but also a bit of saltiness, so you gotta try this at home. So now you've seen how I smoke a pork butt in an offset smoker. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you do, please click the subscribe button. Until next time, see you guys.